Hi students, in this scene, in this episode, we shall study Julius Caesar, Act 1, Scene 2, and I will explain line number 37 to 47. In my previous episodes, we have completed up to Act 1, Scene 2, line number 36. So today we will see line number 37 to 47. In this scene, we see Caesar enters in procession. Glorious Caesar comes accompanied by Antony, Calpurnia, and others. He advises Antony to touch Calpurnia during his Lupercalian run so that she may be cured of her barrenness. A soothsayer warns Caesar against the Ides of March, but Caesar ignores the warning. Brutus is absent from the festival and Cassius drops out of the procession. He begins to persuade Brutus to think of the political degradation of Rome when one man, that is, Julius Caesar, was dominating over all. He asks Brutus, who? Cassius. Cassius asks Brutus to take the lead against Caesar's ambitious designs. He appeals to Brutus's character, patriotism, and ancestry. He starts the conspiracy by seeking the support of Brutus. We see that by subtle flattery of Brutus and abuse of Caesar, Cassius finally prevails upon Brutus to give his assent to a plan of liberation of Rome from the autocracy of Caesar. Casca returns and gives them an ironical description of Caesar's refusing the kingly crown. Cassius himself shows all his characteristics of the prime conspirator. See, students, we have already seen that the tribunes Flavius and Marullus, who belong to Pompey's party, are afraid of Caesar's increasing powers, who do have no sympathy for Caesar. They rebuke the people most vehemently and chase them home. They drive them away from the street, who? Flavius and Marullus, when in the first scene. They drive them away from the street, for they do not want Caesar to be shown any mark of honor. Well, but in this scene, we shall see that Caesar's appearance, close upon Flavius's words, bears out rather than disprove the two tribunes' fears. With masterly economy, Shakespeare creates the atmosphere of an oriental court with fawning flatterers and cringing, attendants. Well, students, before we start to study the scene, you must note down some of the points which may be drawn out from this scene. And let me tell you that this particular introduction and these points I will be repeating in all my videos while I will teach Act 1, Scene 2, so that it becomes easy for you to understand each and every line of the scene. Well, so number one, Caesar's assumption of a dictatorial role is well indicated. He is not only all powerful, but apparently all knowing. It gives motive for the conspiracy. Number two, the motive and the manner of the conspiracy are set forth, as well as the main persons concerned in it. Number three, the motive of Cassius and Brutus is made clear from the beginning itself. 4. The episode of the offer of the crown to Caesar makes the emerging conflict real and immediate. Right. Let us start. We see that Brutus and Cassius are talking to each other. Well, so let's start. Brutus. Cassius, let's see what Brutus says. Cassius, be not deceived. If I have veiled my look, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Vexed I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil perhaps to my behaviors. But let not therefore my good friends be grieved, among which number Cassius by you one, nor construe any further my neglect than the poor Brutus with himself at war forgets the shows of love to other men. So today, students, we are going to understand these lines. Brutus speaks to Cassius. So let's take the first three lines. Brutus, what he says, Cassius, be not deceived. If I have veiled my look, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Okay, so veiled, see the word veiled means concealed. This word concealed. Well, then veiled my look, take it together. Veiled my look means assumed a gloomy appearance, practiced reserve. Then trouble of my countenance, trouble of my countenance, anguish of my mind, anguish of my mind. Then merely, what is the meaning of merely? Entirely. Okay, now let us understand the lines. Brutus says, Cassius, be not deceived. Brutus says, Cassius, do not be under a false idea. Cassius, do not deceive yourself by misunderstanding me. What he says, Cassius, do not be under a false idea. Cassius, do not deceive yourself by misunderstanding me. Brutus continues. What he says, so if I have veiled my look, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. So he says, if I have veiled my look, look at this line. If I have veiled my look means if I have covered my look, covered, if I have covered my look. Brutus says, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. What he says, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Means Brutus says, if I have covered my look with hard, unfamiliar expression, it is because my mind has of late been troubled with conflicting emotions which concerns myself alone, not anybody else. Once again, let's see. So what he says, if I, he speaks to whom? Cassius. He says, if I have concealed my feelings, it is because I have kept to myself the troubles that are indicated by my sad face and do not show them to others. Students, let us once again try to understand the lines said by Brutus. That is, see once again, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Actually, Brutus means to say, I keep my troubles to myself. I do not trouble anyone else. I do not communicate to my friends the secret troubles suggested by my sad face. Here, the jealous, you will see, we see the jealous Cassius not knowing the true cause of his gloominess. Whose gloominess? Brutus's. He attributes it to unfriendliness. Right. Let us proceed. Brutus says, vexed I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil perhaps to my behaviors. Okay, let's see the meanings. Well, so difference. See the word difference means conflicting nature. Students, I would like you all to write down the meanings in the textbook itself. Difference means conflicting nature. Conceptions. Where is the word? See the word conceptions means thought, passions of some difference. Passions of some difference means conflicting passions, conflicting emotions of some difference means that are contradictory. Love for Caesar and love for Rome and freedom were in conflict in Brutus's mind, which indicates that Brutus is in a proper frame of mind to be seduced by Cassius. Well, next is, see the next one, that is proper to myself means concern me only, therefore not to be communicated to others. Then the next one, conceptions only proper to myself. Conceptions only proper to myself means thought concerning only myself. See the word soil. Soil means tarnish, 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 stain, Stain. Some soil, take it together, some soil means blemish or fault. Blemish or fault, which perhaps explains the faults of my conduct. Whose conduct? Brutus's. Okay, now let us take the lines. Brutus says, what he says, vexed I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself. Well, Brutus says, Brutus speaks to whom? Cassius. Brutus says, I have been recently troubled with some conflicting feelings and ideas which are best confined to myself. Means it is because my mind has of late been troubled of conflicting emotions which concern myself alone and which perhaps mark my outward conduct. Students, please listen very carefully to what I am saying. Brutus says, let's see once again. I am greatly agitated these days with conflicting passions, with thoughts that concern me only. Perhaps this has caused this blemish in my conduct. Whose conduct? Brutus's. Well, the speech of Brutus shows that Brutus was already agitated over something secret, that is, Caesar's autocratic ambitions, and he must have been thinking what he should do. Who was thinking? Brutus. What he was thinking? He must have been thinking what he should do. Okay. So, students, shall we move forward? Right. Listen very carefully. Brutus says, but let me not therefore, my good friends, be grieved, among which number Cassius be you one, nor construe any further my neglect than that poor Brutus with himself at war forgets the shows of love to other men. Okay, now first let's see the meanings. Okay, nor construe any further my neglect means nor interpret my neglect in any other way. Write down, students. Nor construe, see the line, nor construe any further my neglect means nor interpret my neglect in any other way. Construe, the word construe means interpret. With himself at war, with himself at war means torn by conflicting passions within himself. Torn by conflicting passions within himself. That poor Brutus with himself at war. See that line. that poor Brutus with himself at war. Means Brutus has a quarrel not with his friends but with himself as to how he should act. It is the core of Brutus's character. Here we see the self introspective character of Brutus is here suggested. It is this that causes the tragedy of Brutus. Okay, then shows of love. Shows of love means outward professions of affections. Outward professions of affections. Let's take it together. Forgets the shows of love to other men. Forgets the shows of love to other men means do not remember to show his love for his friends. Okay, let us take Brutus's speech together. Well, but let not interfere, my good friends, be grieved, among which number Cassius be you one, nor construe any further my neglect, than that poor Brutus, with himself at war, forgets the shows of love to other men. Okay, so Brutus says, what he says, but let this not, students listen very carefully. Brutus says, but let this not trouble my good friends, among whom you are one, Cassius, and let them not put a different meaning on my neglect of them. The only reason is that, unfortunately, I am struggling with my own thoughts, and this makes me forget to show my love to other men. Once more, let us see what Brutus means. Brutus says, but I hope, my good friends, of whom you are one. Who? Who is one? Cassius. He says, you are one, will not on that account be sorry at my change. You will not be sorry at that my change. Nor should they think more than this, that I, distracted by trouble, which wholly mine, have often forgotten to show my usual friendliness to my friends. Students, now let us take the whole speech of Brutus together. Brutus says, let's see from the beginning. Okay, Brutus says, Cassius, be not deceived. If I have veiled my look, I turn the trouble of my countenance merely upon myself. Vexed I am of late with passions of some difference, conceptions only proper to myself, which give some soil, perhaps, to my behaviors. But let not, therefore, my good friends, be grieved, among which number Cassius by you one, nor construe any further my neglect, than that poor Brutus, with himself at war, forgets the show of love to other men. Okay, so students, let us finally take the full speech. Brutus says, students listen very carefully. Brutus says, Cassius, do not deceive yourself by misunderstanding me. If I have covered my look with a hard, unfamiliar expression, it is because my mind has of late been troubled with conflicting emotions, which concerns myself alone and which perhaps mark my outward conduct. I do not wish to show my mental trouble to others, but I hope, my good friends, of whom you are one, who is one? Cassius. You will not on that account be sorry at my change. Whose change? Brutus's. Nor should they think more than this, that I, distracted by trouble, which is wholly mine, the trouble belongs to me, it is my own trouble, have often forgotten to show my usual friendliness to my friends. Students, I hope you have understood. Should I explain once more? I guess you said yes, sir. Sure. Listen carefully. Brutus says, Cassius, do not be under a false idea. Okay? If I have concealed my feelings, it is because I have kept at to myself the troubles that are indicated by my sad face and do not show them to others. I have been recently troubled with some conflicting feelings and ideas which are best confined to myself only. Perhaps this is the reason why my conduct seems somewhat at fault. But let this not trouble my good friends, who says, Brutus, among whom you are the one, Cassius, and let them not put a different meaning on my neglect of them. The only reason is that, unfortunately, I am struggling with my own thoughts, and this makes me forget to show my love to other men. So, students, we have completed line number 37 to 47 of Act 1, Scene 2. Once again, let me remind you all that while listening to my explanation, I would advise you all to keep the text or the textbook in your hand along with a pencil. While the explanation will go on, you should go on writing the meanings or the significance of the words which we will cross. In case you miss out something, I would advise you to rewind the audio and listen again and again so that it becomes easy for you to understand the play. In my next video, I shall move ahead with the next lines. I advise you to subscribe to my channel and press the like button so that you may get the next episode. Thank you. All the best. Jai Hind.